how they can help with our routine agricultural practices. So we will move forward. First, we will say what is mean by endophytes. The endophytes are the microorganisms or the microbes. Uh, Microbes are the tiny forms of life which can found anywhere. That means in our body, at our body also, in environment, soil, air, water, everywhere you can find these tiny forms of creature, but we can't see them as a naked eyes. We have to see under the microscope. So here, why they are called as microorganism, that is we can only see with the microscope. So the endophytes are the class of these particular types of microorganisms. And if we consider the word endophytes, we can divide it as a meaning also, that is endo means inside and phyton means plant, that is a Latin word. So the microorganism that is found inside the plant, we can say it as a endophytes. How endophyte can look alike or how they observe in the three categories. We all know that is bacteria, fungi, and viruses. Especially viruses in COVID time, we all are familiar with the what type of viruses are there and how they can look like. Here we can see in the slide, bacteria look like some motile ellipsoidal shape under microscope. Second are the fungi, which look like a bag-shaped structure, rounded. And third are the viruses. Viruses are maybe circular, cylindrical, and their shape varies. So endophytes are bacteria also, fungi also, or viruses also. So any bacteria, any fungi, or any viruses living inside the plant and helping the plants to for their growth, we can say them as a endophytes. So mostly we are focusing on their beneficial effects to the plant. Now here we can see, if we consider the structure of plant, there are multiple parts are there, like at upper part in a slide we can see the phyllosphere. Phyllosphere means the aerial part of the plant. Here we can see leaves, that is the upper aerial part. There are also microorganisms present. At a rhizosphere, bottom of the diagram, we can see rhizosphere means around the root what atmosphere is present. A root atmosphere is most specifically called as a rhizosphere. And in the middle part of the diagram or structure, here we can see the endosphere, means inside the plant some microorganisms are residing. Around the roots or inside the roots, some microorganisms are also residing. And upper part, aerial part of the plant, also some microorganisms are residing. So if we consider particularly the plant, microorganism can be located at around the root, in the soil, inside the plant parts, and around the aerial part of the plant. Now we are focusing specifically the endosphere, that is endophytes. Now, if we consider the endophytes, it is a mutual type of relationship with the plant. Plants have to give some amount of help to the endophytes. In return, endophyte will help to the plant in many ways. For example, if plant gives the shelter and nutrient to these microbes in return helps the plant in their growth, development, and fighting the plant pathogens. So plants lives together with the endophytes in symbiosis. Symbiosis means give and take type of relationship. You have to give some amount of or you have to favor some favor to your partner, then it will also favor you in return. That type of relationship is called as symbiosis. We are actually naturally also live in a symbiosis as a human community, so that to maintain a harmony with each other. Like that, endophytes lives with the plants in this type of harmonies. And how they can help to the plants, their host plant. For example, if herbivore attacks to the plant gives the signal to the endophytes about the attack. So the priority is plant have to protect itself from this herbivore attack. Now, in response to the plant signal, endophyte will respond in what ways? It will secrete or produce some chemicals, and these chemicals is then help as a repellent, or they help in repelling these particular herbivores away from the plant. So here, as we consider this particular special example like endophyte giving food and shelter to these endophytes, and return endophytes are giving protection against herbivory attack. This is a one type of help that can any endophyte can attributed to any plant. Now, apart from that, endophyte can help to the plant in many other ways also, like they attract pollinators like bees and bats. They help the plant, their host plant to grow faster and absorb the nutrients from the soil. Generally, the nutrients present in the soils are not easily available for the plant, and sometimes it is causing a deterioration effects on the plant. So here endophytes are helping the plant so that they can acquire the nutrient from the soil easily. Now we are seeing nowadays the climate is changing very rigorously or dynamically, that we can experience the summer, sometime we experience the heavy rain, and sometime we experience the winter also. And plant also have to resist or cope up with these climate changes. More specifically, they have to cope up with the high temperature, drought means low water stress. So in these particular stresses also, the endophytes can help to the plant in more resilient way, so that plant can survive to that extreme condition. And they also help the plant to fight with the infectious diseases. And in return to that, plant will provide a shelter and nutrients, so that these mutualistic relation or symbiosis can go a more beneficial way, so that both the entities can be benefited, plants as well as endophytes. So here grammatically, if we can see in a cycle, first step is herbivore is arriving, then plant sending the signal to the endophytes. Third is the endophyte responding, and fourth is a production of chemical, and lastly, due to that chemicals, herbivores are taken away due to that repellent nature of that chemical. So this is the one type of example we can see how endophytes are helping to that particular plant, so that it can protect from any environmental stress. Now, if we consider the use of endophytes in our daily life, actually we are generally using these particular products secreted or released by endophytes also. Some medicines are also already in use day-to-day life. Mostly anti-cancerous medicines are there, which are already isolated from endophytes, and they are marketed also. And they are used as a efficient anti-cancerous agents. So first use we can see in our daily lives, that is new medicines we can develop from these endophytes and can be utilized for our better lives or disease-free lives. Secondly, we can create the product that resists the extreme temperature or corrosive condition, because endophytes are most adaptable organism, because they are residing inside the plant, so that they are adapted themselves as a more efficient way as compared to other microorganism that are present in the plant. Like according to rhizosphere or phyllosphere, endophytes are most commonly adopted. Now, the last we can also use them as a to decontaminate polluted areas. Means we have to degrade some chemicals, oils, or petroleum chemicals that are already contaminating the environment. So we can use these particular endophytes to for pollution eradication. Then last two benefits of endophytes we have to focus more, because we are dealing with the routine sustainable agricultural practices now. That is, we can develop such type of products from endophyte that can be, with the use of them, we can grow the plants with the less amount of fertilizer and water. In nowadays, we are focusing on chemical fertilizers mostly, that are already contaminating the environment also, or they are causing the hazardous effect on our body also. And lastly, we have to fight the we have to help the plant to fight the plant pathogens in more efficient way. Again, here are nowadays we are also using pesticides to control the pest on a plant. Then again, these pesticide residue if remain in the plant parts and we are eating that particular plant as a daily food, then they are also causing distortion of our body also. Here we can you can see in a news also some type of residues will find in a sesame seeds or mango or something, some any other fruit that can be rejected by export committee also. And if that particular pesticide residues are above the maximum level, then export committee or other countries will not accept that food that is exported from our country. So the fertilizers and as well as pesticide that we nowadays employing that are very hazardous to environment also, as well as our human health also. So we have to control these particular usage of fertilizers and pesticides in a least way, or we have to completely eradicate, so that we can grow the healthy plant as well as healthy food, and we can ultimately live the good and healthy life. So need of sustainable agriculture is the most if we beneficiary nowadays, and role of endophytes are making importance here for the sustainable agriculture. For any plant or any crop, you have to consider for as a your routine farming practices, we have to consider the four important parts in that. First, our crop should be resilience. Resilience means here in a picture we can see resilience means it should be resilient with many climatic conditions like sudden rise in a temperature, uh, winter, drought also, and heavy rainfall also. Now millets are emerging as a superfood because they are highly climate resilient. Everywhere you can see the millet growing awareness is increasing nowadays because it giving energy also, as well as these crops are highly climate resilient, so that you can planted them as easily and your crop will also not affected. So once you have chosen the plant that should be resilient to the climate changes, crop yield should, we have to consider food quality, what type of food we are growing and providing to the community or selling, that also matters, and that food also we are also eating, so our health as well as consumer health also matters. And tolerance to the various pathogenic attack, that is biotic stresses. Biotic stresses means any pathogen attacks on the plant that are the biological things or living things, so we can say it as a biotic stresses. So sustainable agriculture need is that we are providing the food that should be we are growing the plant that should be climate resilient, that should give the maximum crop yield. It ensure the food quality, highest food quality, and it should be tolerant to any pathogenic attack. So how we can employ the endophytes here? So endophytes are employed in terms of increasing crop yield, that is they can promote the plant growth. And second is the pathogenic attack, or we can minimize the use of pesticides. So in the next picture here we can see these particular microbial inoculants can be employed as a biopesticides or biofertilizers. Here we are using the word bio because initially we are using the chemicals, any chemicals as a pesticide or any chemical as a fertilizer, but here we are using living things as a fertilizer or pesticide. So we can use the word biopesticides or biofertilizers. So we can employ these particular solution of these microorganisms either alone, or we can use the mixture of different type of microorganism that can be used at the time of planting. You can drench it, or sometimes you can use as a foliar spray or regular spray. You can employ as a biopesticides or biofertilizers. And these particular plantation strategies if we employ, and growing some natural food that ultimately giving as a healthy body to the all produce consumers that are present in this ecosystem. So main aim of the nowadays agricultural practices are how much of we are contributing healthy nature to the healthy environment as well as healthy community. So most specific aim is healthy community as well as healthy environment, because these chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides are already contaminating the environment. They can enter in our water bodies, and that water, if we are drinking even after filtration, that particular residues will stay and it will cause a hazardous effect on our health. So we have to consider the what type of products we are using and how much they are contaminating to our uh, environment also as well as our body also. So we are focusing the endophytes as a plant growth promoting bacteria, or sorry, plant growth promoting agents that may be bacteria, fungi or viruses also. Here you can we can see our aim is to enhance the growth of plant in more sustainable way. Here in a right side picture, we can see the plant is actually needy of these particular endophytes. That is, I need these little guys, I can't live without them. Even if we consider our body also consists of multiple types of beneficial microorganisms. Without that, we cannot survive also. Even we can eradicate whole gut microbiota, that is the microorganism present in intestine, we cannot live. Similar like that, plant also requires some amount of microorganism, beneficial microorganism, so that they can easily survive in the environment. So we have to maintain these particular microbiota of a plant in more efficient way, or we can provide them externally also. So plant growth promoting bacteria is shortly known as PGPR. In the left side of the picture here, we can see PGPR, that is plant growth promoting organisms or bacteria. So how they can promote the growth of plant? We can routinely use the fertilizers in the form of NPK, that is marketed as NPK fertilizers. Routinely farmers use, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And these all three elements are most important for the plant growth, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And how we can provide it nowadays, that is just chemical compounds which can giving a nitrogen source, phosphorus source, or potassium source to the plant. But all these chemicals are already hazardous. So if endophytes have ability to produce these nitrogen form of fertilizing components, phosphorus or potassium, they can be directly used as a NPK form of fertilizers to the plant, and thereby we can promote the growth of plant. So here nitrogen fixation is one of the most important part to promote the plant growth. Means the nitrogen atmospherically plant take up as a atmospheric nitrogen process, but if that is not sufficient, we have to give externally. So as a substitute for chemical fertilizer, we can develop endophytic inoculant that are fixing the nitrogen, which are already available in market, so that the plant can grow efficiently. Similarly, like a nitrogen, some phosphate solubilizing bacteria are also there. They can solubilize the soil phosphate so that plant can readily take up that phosphate through the soil for their growth. Similarly with the potassium. Hormones, some endophytes are also secrete or produce the hormones. In a day-to-day routine nursery practices or agricultural practices, we can see they dip the cuttings in the IBA, that is indole butyric acid, or some any other hormones. These are the synthetic types of hormones which are already available in market. If we had already seen, that is IBA type of powder, we can get it dissolved in water and dip down the cutting for efficient rooting. So these are the synthetic chemicals already present. But if endophytes are producing these different types of hormones, that are very easy to the plant to take up that particular hormones in more sufficient way. Remediation means if the soil is contaminated with some amount of pollutants or chemicals, endophytes are also helping that degradation of that pollutant, so that that soil is always remain as a decontaminated or pollutant free. Now, these particular main effects of endophytes are used as a plant growth promoting potential, that is nitrogen, phosphorus or phosphate solubilization, hormone production, remediation. These are the main characteristics as a or main attributes of plant growth promotion. So if in a detail we can see the soil usually lack the sufficient quantity of one or more nutrients or compounds necessary for the plant growth, so that endophytic bacteria can help, or any endophytic organism can help their host plant to get a increased amount of limiting plant nutrients, specifically nitrogen, iron, phosphorus and potassium. Likewise, we also take some vitamin supplements or take up some fruit, so that our body can get some efficient vitamin source, because naturally our body also unable to synthesize some vitamins naturally. So doctor mostly recommend in any deficiency we have to take some fruit, so that our vitamin deficiency is compensated. Similarly, like that, plants are not able to produce all the or uh, able to synthesize all the nutrients simultaneously. So they cannot be easily taken up by the plant roots. So we have to give them as an available source of nutrients, so plant can easily take up. So to easily available these particular sources, we can use take up the help of endophytes. So they can help to solubilize the phosphate that is present in the soil. They will fix the nitrogen, or they will make the iron available for the plants, so that plants can easily take up that particular nutrients and they are easily available, or make them easily available for the plants for efficient plant growth. And these particular endophytes can be used as a substitute for chemical fertilizers, that is NPK, that already present in the market. So we can develop the microbial inoculants, more specifically as a nitrogen fixer, phosphate solubilizer, or iron available, and it can be used as a biofertilizer, biostimulant, or bioinoculant, and that can be give a way for organic farming also. Nowadays, we are seeing the organic farming everywhere. What these people are actually doing, they are using the most sustainable ways to do their farming. Mostly, they are using vermicomposting or any other means of organic farming, so that we can minimize or completely cut down the use of chemicals for our plants. So biostimulants, bioinoculants, or biofertilizers are one of the way we can do the organic farming, and we can grow our plant more sufficiently. And if we can see in a market, these particular types of inoculants are already available, like azotobacter inoculant, azospirillum inoculant. These inoculants are particularly example I have given here as some are nitrogen fixers also. So we can cope up with the nitrogen deficiency of the plant. Similarly, phosphate solubilizers are also present in the market. Their inoculants or solutions, and we can use them as a manufacturer instruction, means if we have to give them at the time of planting or at a foliar spray, mostly a drenching type of method of application is easy or efficient also. So first we can see the endophytes benefits like nutrient availability. Phytohormone production is a second. As already say, we can routinely using indole butyric acid or IBA as a rooting hormone. That is a synthetic type. But if endophytes are producing these particular types of hormones naturally, they can be also used as a plant growth promoters, because they again enhance the plant nutrient uptake and plant biomass. Routinely, we can see the use of auxin, cytokinin, and gibberellins. Gibberellins mostly used for increasing the grape size. They are routinely used by the farmers, most so that the gibberellin, you can see the as a familiar word for all farmers already. And auxins and cytokinins are most commonly used for in a routine tissue culture practices also, or even in a farming practices. So these hormones are most commonly employed for plant growth promotion, but all already present are the synthetic types of these particular hormones, chemically synthesized. So if we can sufficiently successful to produce these particular hormones by endophytes, so that this is also a most sustainable way to increase the plant growth as well as our crop yield. Third is a stress tolerance, means if our endophytes are helping their particular host plant in fighting with the water stress, salinity stress, temperature stress, so that we can develop that particular plant as a climate resilient also by providing the endophytic inoculant externally as a particular type of cycle or instruction. Bioremediation means we are degradation of environmental pollutants by using any microorganism, that is known as bioremediation. So soil is also contaminated with different pollutants. Nowadays, it is very difficult to find a soil that is pure. So that the another our aim is to produce a healthy plant, that is our soil should be healthy. So the degradation of pollutants is another challenge. So with the help of endophyte, we also cope up with the remediation also, so that the plant growths are ultimately healthy, that does not take up any residues from the soil. Beside that, they are also helping the plant in many indirect ways, that is they are producing toxins, antibiotics. Antibiotics is also another familiar terms nowadays, that is doctor completely or frequently prescribes us to take an antibiotic for any other infections that are already reported as they are produced by endophytes. So these are the plant growth promotion characteristics of endophytes. They can be used as a biofertilizer, stimulants, phytohormone production, stress tolerance, bioremediation, and indirect growth promotion by producing particular types of compounds, antibiotic, toxins, and antimicrobial volatile compounds. So here in a picture, we can see if the plant is coping with the some climate induced abiotic stress, means abiotic stress means the stresses which are imposed by abiotic things. Abiotic things mean, for example, temperature, rainfall, water, or drought or salt stress. These are abiotic things, means non-living things. These are, and these non-living things imposing a pressure on the plant, so that the name is abiotic stress. So if our plant is already facing these problems like reduced rainfall, increased heat, and short-term heavy rainfall, nowadays we can experience the short-term heavy rainfall, so that is actually adversely affecting the crops. We can see in the news also, that is short-term heavy rainfall is completely devastating for the seasonal crops, and ultimately crop yields and farmer loss, also economic loss. So if these biotic stresses are imposing on the plant, ultimately plant will not get the nutrient, water, and salinity in the soil increases. So how we can cope up with these particular stresses? We can use the endophytes, help of endophytes to produce a uh, to increase the nitrogen fixation processes, phosphorus solubilization, potassium solubilization. ACC deaminase means ethylene production. IA production means auxin. EPS means exopolysaccharide production or siderophore production. Siderophores are the chemicals that are particularly produced by microorganism to make the iron available for the plants. So siderophores means iron availability for the plant. So if we have to make the compensate with these biotic stresses, we can develop a microbial community or endophytic community, so that it can be help in these particular ways, and ultimately they will help to the plant growth promotion. Now already in a market, one of the most common endophytic fungus which are already employed by the farmers or any traders, that is they will use the trichoderma as a plant growth promoting agent also, and it is also used for controlling the pest. So trichoderma is already in a market which is already employed, trichoderma conidea or spores, that are already used, their formulations is using for plant growth promotions. That they are also helping the root architecture shaping. They are helping the plants for the stress adaptation, so that our plant is ultimately grown as a healthy and most uh, crop yielder and giving a healthy fruit or any desired crop. So if we are using a trichoderma for our plant, to increase the growth of a plant, we have to consider the plant specific effects. Means uh, your desired plant in the farm, if they are compensatory or mutually uh, helping that mutually realistic with the trichoderma, like some plant cannot be feasible or comfortable with the external inoculants provided. So firstly we have to consider the, if we are using the trichoderma, if our plant is feasible with growing with these solutions, and if it is not so, we cannot use these particular formulations for our plant growth. So if we are using the trichoderma as a bioinoculant, consideration means we have to consider our plant morphology, anatomy. Inoculum size means how much amount of spores we are using for, as a spray, that is in ml in a liter, that is we should go by recommended use by manufacturers. So we should not go beyond that particular recommended limit for inoculum size. And time of application also matter, what yeah, at which time we have to apply these bioinoculants, like at the time of planting, after some days of a planting, like that. And soil environmental conditions are also matters in that case. In likewise what type of soil present at our geographical condition or at our farm. And environmental condition is also matters, like we are living in a most humid conditions, or growing the plant in most humid condition, dry condition, or heavy rainfall condition, that also should be considered if we are using the bioinoculants. And crop management. So bioinoculants are actually we have to use in consideration with what type of plant we are growing, how much amount of inoculum or solution we can use, at what time we should apply this, what type of soil is present at our farm, and environmental condition at our living place. So if we consider these particular attributes, and we develop or these particular formulations according to manufacturer instruction, they will ultimately help you as a plant growth for plant growth promotion and crop yield. Now these are the endophytic benefits as a plant growth promoting attributes or characteristics. Now we are moving toward the diseases. Phytopathogenic diseases means the diseases that are caused by plant pathogens. So phytopathogenic diseases. The most common plant pathogens we can see, these are fungus, bacteria. Nowadays discovered is a phytoplasma recently, and virus. So fungus is already known, that is for a grapes. Powdery mildew is very common for the grape plant. Along with the powdery mildew, they will cause the wilting, that is drying of the root. Leaf blight means patches, yellow patches you can see on the leaf, flower rotting. So that these particular diseases are caused by fungus. Bacteria will cause again rotting, blight, and wilt. Phytoplasma mostly confined with the ornamental crops in a phytoplasma, they are most prominent. They will cause greening of the flower, or phyllodes means they do not develop the plant as a do not help the plant to develop in the particular flower. For example, if we consider the ornamental plant, the flowering is the most important character as a their selling market. So if flower is not developed, then that market value for this particular product will be lost, and phytoplasma is causing that. They will hampering the flowering growth of their host plant, so that this market is already collapsed. And viruses, we can commonly see the viral diseases also, like they will cause the mosaic leaves, uh, leaves color break, and flower color break. So these are the plant pathogens that are already creating the havoc, and ultimately reducing the crop yield. So in this picture we can see the fusarium wilt in a tomato, so that the leaves are completely dried, and ultimately the growth of plant is hampered, and it will die. Powdery mildew, which can efficiently or commonly seen on a grape leaves. That is, there are two types of powdery mildew. Downy mildew is most common in the grapes. That is, powder form of growth will be seen on the leaves, and these are particularly fungus that are ultimately leads to the death of the plant. Bacterial blight here, on a cotton plant, we can see the blight is occurring, that is caused by most particularly bacteria. In a left corner picture, we can see the bacterial rot. And phyllodes, I am discussing about the phytoplasma, that is in a flower structure, leafy structure are started to developing. That is, flower structure is already hampered, so that ornamental crop and their market value will be exhausted here, because phyllodes means growing the leafy structure inside the flower, that are mostly caused by phytoplasma. And last is a virus disease, that is grape vine fan leaf disease. Here grape leaves are started to browning, their chlorophyll content will decrease, and that already hamper the fruit production or berry size of the grapes, and ultimately crop yield also. So grape has already high commercial value because of their uh, uh, medicinal benefits also, or as well as they are using for a wine production. So both the market will be affected if these particular plants are affected by different diseases. So already for coping up with these diseases, we are using the pesticides in a market, but now we are considering endophytes as a biopesticides or a biological control agent. Biological control means controlling the pest by biological agents. Means we can use here in a right side corner picture. Biopesticide means we can use plant extract, any bacteria, fungi, virus, or nematode, endophytic mostly, so that they can kill the pest that is attacking to the plant. So all these particular chemicals are originated from biological ways or biological things or living things. So we are naming as a biopesticide. So controlling the pest by any biological agents, not by chemicals, mostly causes biological control. Biopesticides mean control of a plant pest by using any microorganism or compound secreted by microorganism. Already used biocontrol agents are Trichoderma, Bacillus subtilis, Beauveria. These are the already known microorganism as a efficient biocontrol agent. So again, we are focusing on these particular organisms, and researching more and more. We can develop them as efficient biopesticide. So we can either develop these particular biopesticide as a soil inoculant or a foliar spray. So we can develop or validate these inoculant as a, if we can use it as a for a drenching or foliar spray. And here we can see the biological control means the desired outcome of the biological control application is to reduce the pathogen or pest below a threshold level of ecological and economic impact and enabling the plant to regain the health and normal development. So main aim of the biological control is that we have to reduce the pathogen or pests that are attacking the plant so that plant can grow normally healthy and it will contribute its normal development. So biological control can be overcome by here we can see small organism helping the plant to overcome the pest or any attack. So here we can see the nematodes and fungal pathogens we can kill by using different biopesticide. Or if we are not using organisms, microorganism as a whole, the compounds secreted by these microorganism or endophytes, that are also used as a biopesticides or biological control agents. Like in a picture, we can see antibiotics or hydrolytic enzymes. That is, these particular enzymes, if endophytes are producing, we can formulate a product or inoculant from these chemicals or solutions, and they can be used as a spray or any other mean to control the plant pest or small toxic molecules or ethylene inhibitors. So these are the multiple ways of how we can use or employ the biological control. We have to keep thing in a mind that biological control, we have to cope up only with the biological things, and so that we can develop the agricultural practices in more sustainable way.
Ms. Vasundhara, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, ma'am.
We have completed 43 minutes. If you can
Okay.
quickly finish, I will take a few questions from participants.
Yeah, ma'am, 2 minutes I will finish.
Yeah.
So now biopesticides that are already known, different classes of biopesticides. Some are acting against arthropods, some are, that is insects, some are acting against weed, some are acting against nematodes, some are acting against different plant diseases and molluscs. So here in a picture we can see different types of bacteria, fungi, viruses are already employed for controlling the insect, to control the weeds, different types of diseases, nematode control as well as molluscus control. So there are a vast possibilities of applying these endophytes as a biopesticides on a larger scale for a better plant growth and crop yield. So pesticides are already known. Synthetic chemical pesticides are like organophosphate, organochlorine, carbamates, pyrethrin, pyrethroids. But biopesticide, we can employ the microbial biopesticides, plant incorporated protectants, botanical pesticides, or hormones, pheromones means. And if we consider the benefits of biopesticides over chemicals, biopesticides are highly eco-friendly to the non-target species also. And if we consider a chemical pesticide, they are harmful to the any other plant species also, that is non-targeted, means we are targeting only one species, but chemical pesticide is killing all other plant species also. That cannot happen with the biopesticides. And biopesticide does not cause any pollution, environmental pollution, and chemical pesticides are very seriously causing the environmental pollutions already. Biopesticides are relatively cheaper, chemical pesticides are already expensive. And against biopesticide, our pest or insect does not develop a resistance. Means if we are continuously spraying the chemical pesticides or chemicals, particularly to that plant for against particular insect, after some days that particular insect will develop a resistance against that chemical. Means that chemicals will not work against that similar pest after some days. This cannot help with the biopesticides, and nowadays growing market preference will be going toward the biopesticide, because we have to grow the plant that are climate smart, climate resilient, and environmental friendly. So we have to switch over the biopesticide after some days over chemicals. So these particular things we have to keep in mind for sustainable agricultural practices. So in a summary, we can see the endophytes in a some normal or in all over how they can help the plants. That is, they will suppress the plant disease. They will produce the different plant hormones for the plant growth. They will make a plant to the disease resistance, that is by inducing the systemic resistance. They will cope up the plant with different stresses like drought and salinity. They will protect the plant against pests and herbivores. And biofertilization is the most efficient way endophyte can help to the plant. Phytoremediation, that is removing or eradicating the pollutants or environmental contaminants and making the different nutrients easily available for the plants. So all over together, these are the benefits that are provided by the endophytes already, and these are the inherent microflora of the plant, so that if we are focusing or developing these inoculants for their plants, it will be very easy to crop yield also. So this is all about endophytes and their benefits for agricultural practices. Thank you, ma'am, for giving opportunity. I will ready to take.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vasundhara, for an informative talk. I will take up the questions from the participants now. In the meantime, can you please stop sharing the screen?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
You can on the video, or you wanted it? Yeah. Thank you. I'll move on to the questions now. How do endophytes colonize plant tissues, and what factors influence their effectiveness?
Plant endophytes mostly colonized by different mechanisms. Likewise, they will enter through the roots also. They will enter through the aerial parts like leaves, stem. And if the plant have make a wounded at some conditions, these endophyte will really radially enters into the plant interior. But once they enter inside the plant, they have to adjust with the plant internal environment. And if these organisms are successful to encounter all these temperature, pH, and cell related things, they can easily colonize inside the plant. So plant to plant, their endophytic microflora will vary, because some bacteria, some microorganisms will easily colonize particular plant, but some will fail to colonize that particular plant species. So species to species, their endophytic microflora will also varies. So we have to consider the endophytic microflora for the particular plant host initially, so that we can develop the inoculant, or we can apply the inoculant according to that.
Okay. Can endophytes be used in a variety of crops, or are they specific to certain types of plants?
More specifically, already in a market that are nitrogen fixer, phosphate solubilizers. These are more specifically rhizospheric as well as endophytic microorganisms. So that can be employed for all types of plants. But some endophytic species are like that, they are only confined to that particular plant also. So if we are considering a particular crop, like for a sugar cane, you can use all nitrogen fixers as inoculants like Azotobacter, Azospirillum. Even for a rice, we can also use these particular inoculants. And if the plant species is endemic, like it is growing only that condition only, sugarcane will grow in Maharashtra also, UP also, or any other parts of countries where water is plenty, so that the microflora will remain common. Almost that particular microflora will remain common. For some plant species, they will act as an endemic species, so that we have to consider. Like if we are considering the saffron or any other plant crops that are endemic to that part only, that will only grow in the Kashmir. So that for that plant species, we have to consider their microflora. And if common microflora is beneficial to that plant, like nitrogen fixer, phosphate solubilizers, so we can easily use them. Most commonly, nitrogen and phosphate or potassium are already used by the some farmers, so as a to increase the plant growth as a substitute for NPK fertilizers for rice and sugarcane.
Okay. Are there any risks associated with using endophytes for plant growth and disease control?
Actually, endophytes, if we are considering the endophytes as a bioinoculant or biocontrol agent. First, we have to consider if these endophytes are causing any harm to human community or any other community that are feeding on that particular plant. So that is actually included in the particular rules and regulations if you are developing any bioinoculant. That is, if you are developing inoculant from particular endophyte, you have to check the pathogenicity first. Means if they are any causing a pathogenic havoc for the humans or any other animal community that is feeding on that, and if found they are pathogenic, then we cannot use that particular endophytes as a bioinoculants, because ultimately they will spread in a soil or any other environmental uh, components that are ultimately they will cause a problem later on. So developing any inoculant, we should keep in mind that if it is causing any side effects to any other plant living community in our food chain, and if it is causing a problems, then we have to sideline that particular microorganisms. Nowadays trichoderma bacillus, these are most non-pathogenic to any humans, that particular bacillus species only. Human pathogen bacillus species are also present in environment, so that are not actually the plant communities as well, so that we are efficiently using them as a endophytic inoculant. So more specifically, rules, regulation or authority bodies, they are actually analyzing these particular terms and conditions, and only after that they will market or give that particular grade to that product, and only after that it will enter in the market, otherwise it not.
Okay. How can endophytes be applied to crops and what is the best time to do so?
Sorry ma'am, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I will repeat it just a minute. How can endophytes be applied to crops and what is the best time to do so?
We can apply the endophytes as a plants in a form of a liquid, more specifically liquid solutions. That is a microorganism can be grown in a particular growing media, most common, that is already developed or validated in the laboratory. And time of application is more vary according to the crop. That is, some for some crop we can use drenching, for some crops we can use foliar spray. Foliar spray is more specifically we can employ for controlling the pest, and drenching is most beneficial for the if we are using endophytes as a plant growth promotion. Means at the time of planting or sowing, we can simply drench that particular solution, or we can simply dip out seeds cuttings in endophytic solution, and then it can be sowed in a plant. So it depends on what type of plant you are use, and time of applications, it also means you have to use multiple times. If we have to control the pest, we have to use the multiple times these particular types of inoculants, more specifically in a foliar spray. And a drenching time, you can more specifically apply at the sowing time, and if it is required, you can apply repeatedly also. If you can purchase the some chemicals which is sorry, inoculant present in the market, they are already provided that details key how much amount of inoculum you should use and how much time it should be spread or drenched, so that you can get better results. So crop wise, they will suggest ki how you have to use accordingly.
Okay. Are there any challenges in scaling up the production of endophytes for commercial use?
Actually, endophytes commercialism in the terms of their growth, their reproducibility of the results, means we have to validate that particular endophytic inoculant giving a possible prominent result consistently. Sometimes what happens that some endophytes are we can develop as a bioinoculant, but they fail to give a consistent result. And because some endophyte will grow best at that particular geographical condition, but some are not. So these are the challenges we have to overcome. That is, In that case, we have to engineer or design the endophytes in that way also. That is genetic engineering or any other means. And again, pathogenicity is also another concern. And that is some endophytes can, if they are causing a diseases to human community, or also that point should also be considered. So consistent reproducibility of a result, and that endophyte should also colonize in that particular plant after applications. So that also you have to check according to their sustainability in a different geographical condition. In a laboratory condition, we can check as a growing temperatures, different growing temperatures. So these particular parameters we have to consider before commercializing any endophytic inoculant on a field trials. But because on a field trials, some endophytes cannot show that particular promising result. So here field trials and their analysis is very important if you are commercializing a particular endophyte. Hello.
Yeah, I'll move on to the next question. Can you provide examples of successful use of endophytes in agriculture?
Nowadays, most if common example we can consider the trichoderma. Trichoderma is already in a use for and already employed by the different farmers for plant growth promotion, as well as more specifically it is used as a plant growth promotion. Some agricultural institutes are also formulated and validated their trichoderma products and already used by the farmers, more specifically Bacillus subtilis, and these are actually in a trial ways so that they can in a future enter in a market. But along with the trichoderma in a market, we already see the azotobacter, azospirillum inoculant, bradyrhizobium inoculants. Then nitrogen fixers are most prominent that are already present in the market. In a local names also, Jivamrut or any company that gives their local name. Like here, if Vasundhara Sugar Institute in Pune, they are validated their endophytes nitrogen fixing, and they are selling in their trade name also, like Vasant Urja, in honor to their institute also. So they are already in the market actually, and some are they will enter in the market in the future. More specifically, we are dealing with the biological control nowadays.
Okay. Are there any regulations or certifications for the use of endophytes in agriculture?
Yeah, we have to go many rules, regulation, and authority committee like ISO, Food and Drug Administration, because if we are applying, they are for food crops, the Food and Drug Administration certification is also necessary, because and for ultimately we are applying on the plant, and many other APEDA or like authorities are already present, so that any product we are launching in the market, we have to grow with these we have to go with these particular rules and regulation, like FSSI also there, so that agriculture related any authorities, so we can efficiently utilize or market them as a product. So we have to go legislative committee. That is essential actually.
Okay. Can you provide information on the cost effectiveness of using endophytes compared to other methods of plant growth and disease control?
Cost effective means these particular bioinoculants are already in a cheaper cost. They already can be purchased in a cheaper cost as compared to chemical fertilizers that are now farmer are already familiar with the what amount of cost they have to pay for their pesticides or NPK fertilizers, and they have to cope up with these particular cost with their production also. So if endophytic inoculants or these particular promoters are already at a lower cost, in a two ways they are benefiting. That is, they are in a cheaper cost also, and they are benefiting the plant in a multiple ways. And again, they are not contaminating your soil also. Chemical fertilizers or pesticides are already present that are costly also, or they are contaminating soil or making our soil unhealthy. So in a soil future perspective, we can help our soil to make it more healthy by using these type of inoculants. That is a long way benefit, we can say, in terms of cost also.
Okay, thank you very much. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we like to thank Ms. Vasundhara Tukaram More for the talk and for answering the questions. I like to also thank all the participants in this meeting. This meeting will now be closed.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you all of the participants also.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can I leave the meeting, ma'am?
Yeah, sure. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, ma'am.